Hi folks, this is Dane at Jonah Custom Guitars, and we're back on the 1950 Martin 0018 neck reset. I'm still in the process of finessing this neck joint, and I'm just going to show you a bit of the process and also direct you to another guy's video series on neck setting and that sort of thing. John Hall at Blues Creek Guitars. You know, a lot of this is kind of common sense, but when you're working, you know, first few times on this sort of thing, it helps to look at somebody else's stuff and see what's you know, how they approach it. So anyway, check out John at Blues Creek Guitars, and I didn't review the last video of my own, so I'm not exactly sure where we left off, but I'm gonna realign this camera a bit so you don't have to look at me and you can see what's happening here. The dovetail joint here after, well, okay, first of all, yeah, I had to change the neck angle, right, from being like that to being like that. Of course, that's excessive, but it gives you the idea. You know, it's string tension pulls the neck up to the point to where your string height, you know, here at the 12th fret is excessive. In this case, it was around 7/64, which I definitely consider excessive. This neck is really super straight under string tension, although you probably won't be able to see that. It's got a non-adjustable truss, right? It's just a piece of T-bar steel in there, goes all the way through the neck. So, but it was holding this neck really straight under tension. It's got just a slight, actually, it stays right where it's at. It's got just a slight up bow, and it still does. It should actually, without string tension, normally it would want to have a rock in it. It's pretty straight, pretty right on right now. Doesn't really have any relief in it. So, having said that, I took you know, meat off of the bottom of the heel, so that it would allow it to rock down and bring our strings closer to the neck here, to the frets. Okay, so after doing that, it loosens the joint because it's a tapered dovetail. So as that joint drops in further from the face of the guitar, it creates space down on this end. So I shimmed it. That's a mahogany. You can see the difference in color there. So you've got this darker is the, you know, end grain of the neck, and then these lighter pieces on the side are the pieces of mahogany that I glued on. And so once you've done that, just parallel the existing dovetail. So now that I've got that, I've been shaping that down to bring the neck not only down for the string height, but also to make sure you're getting it set correctly side to side. I'll go ahead and slip this in here. So, you know, you don't want to end up with the neck tweaked or whatever, so I tape the original location of the neck, double check it against where the bridge is, just to make sure that it was set correctly originally. And it was very close, so I'm going to go with it so I don't have finish variances on either side of the tongue here. So, yeah, so in the meantime, you work it all together. You work it down on the angle, like that, and then you make sure that when you put it in, you're not getting an up or down movement. So you're taking material off of the shims in order to get the neck all the way down to the face of the guitar at the proper angle, and then also at the proper side-to-side angle, so everything lines up. Now, I checked this before I took it apart with string tension to see where the, I'm going to move this up again. I checked it with string tension to see where the bridge was in relationship to the arch on the top of the guitar. Because I'm not changing, I wasn't, you know, I didn't change anything about the top of the guitar geometry. There wasn't rotation in the top, that was excessive. So I stayed with that. I did re-glue the bridge because the bridge was coming up off the back edge, and I couldn't see doing a reset on the neck and leaving the bridge halfway glued on. So what I'm doing here is straight edging from the top right on the frets, and normally I've had good success with having the top of the fret and the top of the bridge, the wood of the bridge, being exactly on the same line. And then the difference in the saddle gives you the spacing off the top of your frets where they need to be. So you have a string spacing off the top of the frets, probably somewhere around 5/64 on an acoustic. Actually, I wrote that other number down. It had to be more than 7/64. That's only just really a fuzz too high. I was 11/64, so I'm just looking at my paperwork over here. I was 11/64 at the 12th on the fat E, and 9/64 on the high E. So yeah, that's excessive. 7, I probably could have gotten away with just slightly notching the saddle a bit more. This saddle is actually notched. They're not, a lot of acoustics, they just ride right over the top with a very faint notch. These are actually notched in quite a bit. Hoping I don't have to mess with that saddle when I'm all done with it, because it's a slotted all the way through saddle, and I don't want to have to peel it out of there. I don't think I'll get it out of there without it being a little messy. So I'm going to show you that saddle. What I mean when I say it goes all the way through, it's not a closed end. It comes all the way out the edge of the bridge this way. So you have open ends on both sides. Okay. So anyway, I measure the distance from the top of the guitar to the bottom of the fretboard here to see where I'm at. And right now I'm just at a fat 5/32 off the top of the guitar. And now when I put the straight edge and come back to the saddle, or excuse me, the bridge, top of the bridge, I'm at 5/32. Oh, wait a second. I was at a fat 4.5/32 up here. So anyway, I'm still whittling this heel a little bit. I want a little bit more, because with string tension on it, this thing came up about a 32nd. So I want to have a 32nd more on my bridge. I want to be farther down. So in other words, I need to increase my neck angle back. And I'll just do a quick little demo on what I'm doing with that. And I've already done this quite a bit. I took some off originally with a chisel just to get started, and then you kind of straighten things out with this. And you've seen this if you've watched any acoustic guitar set videos. You've seen this. Basically, you put the sandpaper right underneath the joint, the heel, and then you just pull it out. And since I'm good where I want to be side to side, basically I'm going to do like three pulls on one side. There's 2. Just as a way of keeping track of how much material I'm removing, right? So I'm not just sanding away on one side and then getting a tilt on the neck and having my strings right up one edge or the other, which is not acceptable, right? So I had 3 on the one side, and I'm going to go 3 on this side. And I'm doing this all backwards because I'm trying to get it into the video, just so you have an idea of what's happening here. Okay. So that was 2. And as you do this sort of thing, I stay away from the top corner because I don't want to take material out of the top corner. I really just want to take it off the back end of the heel. And then you just keep doing it to the point where you have a straight line between the heel, the tip of the heel, and the top where it meets the top of the body. Because theoretically, the guitar body should be straight right there. It's glued to a straight block. And so when I have the neck off, I check it with a little straight edge to make sure that I'm straight there. But then also, I mean, you still got to eyeball it against, the line at the body to make sure it's fitting the body correctly. And this guitar, it's fitting, just perfectly. Obviously, or also, not obviously, on the bottom of the heel here, it's like, so you can't see any detail on this in this camera, so I apologize for that. But you also got to eyeball that line there and make sure that as you bring in each side down, you're not creating a ridge. And if you create a little ridge, then pretty much you put the paper in there and pull it, just to get rid of that little ridge that might develop right there. So you do that, half a dozen times. Put the straight edge back on. I like to pull the neck into the joint as tight as I can, and I just do that with one of these little rubber tipped squeeze clamps, and just make sure it's sitting down in there, and then pull it in, and then I take the clamp off and get it out of my way. Then once again, measure the distance from the body. Oops. Measure the distance from the body, and I really haven't changed anything at this end of it because I'm not really messing with the dovetail at all, other than to just take a ever slight little fraction off the end of the heel. So it could drop a little bit from that, but we're at the same exact dimension, which is 5/30 or 4.5 30-seconds fat, right, which would be 9, 10, 11, 4.5, 9, I guess it would be 64ths. I can't do math and talk. So put the straight edge back on the neck, see where we're at off the top of the bridge, and we're at virtually the same spot as we were the last time, because I only did 3 pulls on that with a piece of 180 grit paper, so I didn't move an awful lot of material. Anyway, so that just goes back and forth, and you keep doing it until you get the tip back at the right point, so your string height will be correct. Then as you're bringing the whole neck into the body of the guitar, you work the tenon. You don't work the mortise or the guitar body part of it. You only work the neck part. And so I've chalked the inside of the mortise right there. You can see the chalk. And so when you set that, when you push the neck down in there, you get chalk right down the side of the tenon. So you can see where you're rubbing. And so if you're happy with the way everything's fitting, pretty much you just put it in there and you sand the chalk off. And every time you put it back in, it should drop a little bit. And you keep doing that until you get it right down flush to the top of the guitar. But you don't just, you got to check everything every time you put it on. You're going to check your neck angle. You're going to check the side-to-side angle so that your string lay is good. Then you also got to check to make sure that it's coming down flat to the top of the guitar, because right now, for instance, I'm about a 64th higher off the top of the guitar from my bass side than I am from my treble side. So I'm trying to sand the tenon accordingly so that it's rotating that neck ever so slightly to the bass side, right, or picking the treble side up so that it evens it out that 32nd or 64th, and so that when it actually hits the top of the guitar, it's going to be right flat. I don't want to pull this thing into a point and then have to put extra force on the clamp to get the fretboard extension to come down flat to the top of the guitar. So it should just push in and clamp and meet it there, and then when I put the glue on, it'll be sound, solid. I'm not going to be tweaking anything, forcing anything. You don't want to do that. But so it's just a slow process, and you just work it in as you go. And so that's what I'm doing. And I think I kind of hit all the high spots on that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off, finish fitting everything together. When I come back around to actually doing the glue up, I'll get my hide glue hot again, and we'll do that reset. One quick note is that you see I have tape on here, and it is the light tack painter's tape. But even then, when I use tape especially on a vintage finish, I peel the tape off and I actually stick it to my shirt, and peel it back off and stick it to my shirt again. So it actually removes some of the tackiness, because you don't want to have this tape stuck on here so hard that it peels any finish off. So if you guys were looking at that going like, he's going to be sorry he did that, well, I take that precaution so I don't peel finish. All right, folks, thanks for watching.